Hi, this is Elliot Fishman, and welcome to our latest Facebook Live. It's great to be here, and today is June 6th. And just on the relevance of June 6th, it is amazing that as I was growing up, June 6th had a lot of significance to many people. For many people, it changed their lives. Remember, June 6, 1944 is D-Day. It's when we invaded, we being the United States, France, England, Canada invaded Europe at Normandy in France. Many people died. When you think about those hills and the fact that you were coming in on a boat, trying to make a landing, the fact that we did make it to Omaha Beach and places like that, it's just somewhat amazing. And many people died. Many people gave the ultimate sacrifice. And within about a year, we had the Germans defeated. So well calculated, well planned. Many people died. Many people's lives were changed. For the years that followed, everyone knew someone who had been, maybe not D-Day, but had been involved in World War II. Many of the people, many of your parents may have been involved in World War II, or your grandparents. They fought. Many people died. Everyone knew someone who died. It was the last, quote-unquote, Great War. Millions of casualties, and maybe casualties weren't someone in the armed forces. It was somebody who was in Germany in a concentration camp, or in Poland, or any of those numerous countries that had all those concentration camps. So everyone had some really tight tie to those events. You fast forward, it's 75 years ago. The people who landed and survived, most of them are no longer with us. You remember when Reagan was president, and they had, it was 1984, the 40th anniversary. One of the most memorable speeches surely Reagan gave, but almost any American president gave about the sacrifice of those days. Now you fast forward 75 years later, any American or Briton or Canadian who was on the beach, who landed, would be in their mid-90s. So there's very few of them left. I know there's always a ceremony. They'll have a few of those people who parachuted in. But the memory of that date, I posted a bunch of things on CTisus today that remind people of the date and the history. And not many people have looked at it because it's like ancient history. It's like something that doesn't really impact you. And people are very good at forgetting history. It was a dark period of time, that World War II, one could look at the outcome and say it was great, we won, but it wasn't clear if good or evil was going to win that battle. For a long time, it was just not that clear. And as I said, many people from many nations died, civilians, soldiers, and the like. But it does interest me a bit how people tend to forget history and tend not to remember. And it's something perhaps is worthwhile. Remember, those who don't remember history are due to relive history. That's one thing to think about. The other thing, on a little bit of a happier note, or maybe they're all happier notes, I went with my grandson to Sesame Place, which is in Langhorne, Pennsylvania, which is about 30 minutes outside of Philly, and near Trenton, whatever. It's a very I won't say bare bones amusement park, but it's has a few rides. It has a bunch of Sesame Street characters. And if you're 3 years old or in that range, and maybe to 5 or 7, it's kind of like Hog Heaven. It's kind of like Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, Goofy, Pluto, but it's not quite as elegant. It's smaller scale, which is probably good. The characters come out, they play that music. It's enough to drive you crazy. Many of you remember, for Larry David fans, on Curb Your Enthusiasm, they had that lady on there in one episode who was a ticket taker at one of the rides, and all she could say was that same da 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 da. You get the drift, over and over again. And perhaps if you worked at Sesame Place, you would be singing those same crazy songs over and over and over. It probably would drive you to insanity. It's a good chance. But for a day and a half or 2 days, it's really good, and we had a great time. It also reminds me of the simplicity of things. That there were some rides there, but it wasn't the high-tech, super-duper, twisty rides. They were, basic rides, going in circles or going a little bit up, going a little bit down, going around and around. But it does make the point that when you develop something, it needs to be appropriate for the audience, and it needs to meet a need that is unfulfilled or people feel they want. And so Sesame Street, educational, entertainment, whatever you want to call it, and then you put it into a park and the right crowd, the right people at the right time, it's a wonderful thing. You're 12 years old, you probably would think, boy, this is the worst of the worst. What kind of parents did I end up with would bring me here? But at the age 3, 4, 5, 6, probably 7, it's terrific. So in saying that, now where does that fit into my talk this week? It's a good question, but it twists me around to technology. One of the challenges of technology, whether it's AI or any type of technology, whether it's a scanner, whether it's the workstations, is that technology needs to work. Technology needs to answer a question. Technology needs to solve a problem. Technology needs to be easy to use. It needs to be transparent. It needs to be fluid. And it needs to be logical. That's one of the challenges in medicine. So if you think about our PACS system, okay, the fact that you need to use a computer to gather information, hopefully put information together, that's very logical. That should have been here years and years ago. It's taken forever. But then the companies that did it, the Epics, the Cerners, and the like, have done it in such a poor way that most physicians talk about burnout, and it's related to Cerner and Epic, mainly Epic, because it's unpleasant. It's technology that doesn't solve a problem. It's technology that people feel creates a problem. It's technology that's not transparent. It's technology that's not fluid. It's technology that is not enjoyable. And it's technology that does not meet a need or a demand or a function. And so technology in and of itself does not necessarily mean something positive. It can mean something extremely negative. And perhaps that's how you look at it. The same thing with scanners, CT scanners, whatever scanner you have. The scanners have gotten better over the years. It's higher spatial resolution, they're faster. And one thing I did notice over the past few years is that the scanners have become easier to use. The manufacturers, to their credit, have dumbed down the scanners. You don't need a super tech to run a scanner anymore, making many decisions. There's cameras in the ceiling that position the patient. You type in hematuria, it gives you the protocol. Tracks everything, times everything, tells you how to inject. You inject, and things happen. It automatically reconstructs in coronal and sagittal and perhaps 3D, maybe does dual energy if you're using dual energy, ships everything downstream to the radiologist. So technology there has taken advantages of progress, but it's transparent to the user because everything happens. And in fact, as I mentioned, it's assuming that the user on the technology side shortly, maybe even on the physician side, is not going to be as sophisticated as they were before. Okay? There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. But we still need good studies of the patients in order to be able to diagnose disease. Now, the flip side of that is post-processing. Now, you know, we've been long fans of InSpace. We helped develop InSpace. And InSpace is a very logical product that solves problems as a 3D, the 2D, interacts, films, videos, does everything because it knows the problem it needs to solve and then solves that problem in a very easy to use way and creates the highest quality images. Now, that product has been off the market for many years. We still use it because it is the best product, but you've come up with new products. And the companies make workstations that really, the only thing about workstations that they really follow is that you need to do a lot of work. They're hard to use. They're unpleasant to use. The buttons don't make sense. The image quality is variable. There's no artificial intelligence. You end up buying from other companies because the TAVR doesn't work, or the cardiac doesn't work, or the vert colon is okay, or just simply using it. And the way you can tell the thing doesn't work is When I ask people in a meeting, how many people are doing 3D imaging, no one raises their hand, or very few people raise their hand. If things were easy to use and it provided value that people really felt was critical, they would use it. As radiologists, we're smart people. As clinicians, they're smart people. But if something is hard to use or difficult to use, we will not use it. And that's where technology breaks down. Technology developed by a bunch of researchers in a country that doesn't know anything about how to do things, how clinicians want. When you have your researchers, wherever the company is, whether in Europe or the US or China, Korea, no matter where the company is, if you don't know what the users want, if you make decisions based on what you think the users want, rather than what the users want, you are going to fail. When you deal with Epic, they decided what they wanted to do and how you would use it. We would tell them to do it differently. They would say, no, this is how we do it. You speak to manufacturers of 3D systems, they do it the way they think. Oh, this is the perfect way of doing it. Well, how do you know that? You don't even read a single case. You don't know anything, but you're going to make the decisions. I think that's where technology really falls apart. It's when you have technology in the hands of people who don't know what they're doing, then technology will not improve what we do. Now, it's interesting. It's a very funny world about doing things well. If you look at the Jeopardy, now the person lost on Jeopardy the other day, and people were so happy. Mankind is going bad. People are getting bad when you're rooting against the guy who was incredible. I would like to see him win for 3 years in a row and make $1 billion. It was amazing how he played. I don't even watch Jeopardy. Why is it that people were against him winning? Is it that people don't want to see successful people? Is it people like other people to lose? There was more celebration about him losing than him winning. People rooted against him. Alex Trebek thought he was terrific. Alex has seen many people come and go. But how do you root against? Why would you root against that guy? But that's how things are now. People root against things. Take that a step forward. You read in the paper this week, what is the government, whether it's the Department of Justice or whoever else is in the government, is going to go after Amazon and Google and Apple and Netflix and Facebook. Why are they going after them? Because they're too successful. They're controlling too much. Google, you can look up anything. Well, maybe you should have Google that looks up only half the things, and half the things the answer comes back, I don't know. Then you got to go to another site, yuts.com, and then you got to look there, and under yuts.com will answer the other questions that Google wasn't allowed to answer. Are you kidding me? The strength of Google is the constant learning algorithms. So when you ask Google anything, what time is it in Oslo right now? How do I translate Canadian dollars into US dollars? Almost anything you ask. What's this abbreviation? Anything you ask, you get the answer. And it's not like 100 answers, you got to scroll up and down. First answer is the right answer. Now, does Google use their share to do some advertising that, quote unquote, may not be as fair? Well, I think you need to control those things, and there should be some rules. But the fact you can go on YouTube and see all sorts of information, the fact that you can go on Google and get information that makes our life easier, that's a thing of beauty, right? The fact that Amazon, if I want something today, I call Amazon, they deliver it. And if I'm unhappy, they take it back. Okay, now you're going to punish them because they did their job well. What do you want? The usual thing where you call up something, they don't deliver it on time. It gets there, it's broken. It gets there, it gets lost. You speak to somebody on the phone who gives you 10 excuses of why, well, we meant to mail it, but we didn't mail it. We shipped it, but we shipped the wrong size. We shipped this, we did this, we did this. I don't want that. When I want something, I want to press the button. Amazon, fair price, get what I want. Now, you want to sue them because they're doing their job well. That's like rooting against the guy on Jeopardy. The American way, the world's way, is to reward people who do things really well. You want to be excellent at what you do. You want to be the best at what you do. And in technology, you want to answer a question. We had the person from CNET here that technology needs to be transparent. It needs to be organized. it can't be difficult to use or people will not use it. And that's the beauty of successful companies or successful products, is that people like them. People want to use them. I'm not sitting here, you're not sitting there at home saying, break up Google, break up Amazon, break up Facebook, break up Netflix. Maybe you're saying break up some other things, but you're not going on those companies because they meet the needs that you have. To have the government waste its time to, like they did with Microsoft for so many years, to go after Apple because of the Apple Store. Now, I'm telling you, no one says it, but I'll testify for Apple. They're an annoying company at times. They don't give us all the information you want. But if you look at all our apps, we're posting them. You guys are downloading them for free. They're not charging us. They evaluate them, they make sure they meet the requirements, and they post them. And you can go on the Apple Store and see a million, zillion, billion apps that are for free, that people like us create, that Apple doesn't charge. So what's going to happen? Apple will have to do something different, and then they're going to charge me to put up a free app. Because who in the world gives you something for free these days? You can't even get a free glass of water. Apple allows you to put it up there, keep it up there, you download it, I don't pay, you don't pay, and they maintain the apps that are posted for free at the same quality they put the apps up there that they charge for. It's a thing of beauty. And for education, it's amazing. For people like you and people like me, it's unbelievable. But now the Department of Justice, the Supreme Court, is going to go after Apple and waste a lot of time, waste a lot of effort, and at the end of the day, it's just not going to solve anything but create more problems. So let me finish up there and just say, when you think about technology, when you think about progress, progress needs to go well. It needs to fit into what we do. It can't be this jibberwocky of unsuccessful companies and unsuccessful people telling you what you need to do and how you need to do it. Again, we need fairness. I agree with that. But it's those companies, those people who do things well that really benefit all of us. And whether it's in medicine, whether it's in radiology, whether it's in your personal life, it just needs to be dealing with excellence. The second we mistake excellence and mediocrity, when mediocrity becomes excellence, that's when you have a problem. And with that, let me just say hello and answer any questions. So here someone says they love our YouTube stuff. And there's John Biacchino saying, watch Band of Brothers, excellent miniseries. Yeah, that's a lot of parts, Band of Brothers, but I know it's really good. If you watch Saving Private Ryan, and if you don't have time to watch the movie with Tom Hanks, and Steven Spielberg, one of the great movies of all time, that movie is D-Day landing till the end. That's just worth watching. And if you can't watch the whole movie, watch the first 5 minutes and watch the last 5 minutes. And if you can't watch 5 and 5, just watch the first 5 minutes. And if you watch the first 5 minutes, I'm pretty sure you're going to watch the whole movie. Anything else? Let me see. I'm looking at Instagram. Well, I don't see anything that I can answer. I got a few highs, so I'll say hi as well. And I guess my time is up, so I'll keep everybody on time. Does Google really work on AI for radiology? The answer is yes, by the way. We posted a bunch of stuff. Go to the front page of CTisus. Go to the AI section. Go look at miscellaneous. There's a lot of things from Google. Google is the power player in AI, in my opinion. Whether it's, remember last week, they are the ones who did this whole thing with lung cancer detection, analysis of the lung cancer screening project. They've done a lot of work on chest x-rays and chest CTs. Google, Verity is the company that Google has, their health sciences. That's just a super powerhouse. And one of their senior people was a radiologist, Vivian Lee, who was at NYU. So radiology is involved there. With that, I'll say goodbye, and I'll see you next week. Ciao, ciao, ciao.